Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Welcome to our corner to corner shawl border tutorial. To make this border, you're going to need yarn. You can use the same yarn you used for your shawl, or you can use a complementary color. I just did a different color so that you can see the border for the tutorial, and whatever hook you used for your shawl, you want to use the same hook. You will also need scissors and a needle. To start our super easy border for our shawl, we're going to start by doing one more row with our border color along our staircase or our mountains. So a nice easy way of changing color is just at your last double crochet that you made, you are going to measure down. You're going to eyeball it, or you can use your measuring tape, but I'm just going to eyeball it, and I'm going to say that's about 2 inches. I have to make a knot up there, so I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm going to join a new color. Let me use this blue. So now take out the last double crochet you did, put your hook back in, or a stitch marker, and we're going to make a magic knot. So how we're going to do that, I lay out my old yarn in one direction and my new yarn in the other. And I know I have to make my knot about there. That's where I cut my yarn. That was the top of the double crochet. So I'm going to take my new yarn and wrap it around. I'm going to take my old yarn and wrap it around my new yarn, trying to get that area where I want my knot to be, making a little U shape, and I'm going to make a knot. So just make a regular knot like that around your new yarn, and then pull your tail so your knot is going to be in about the same place you want it to be. Mine was at about 2 inches, so I'm just really going to tighten it. And then my knot is approximately where the top of my double crochet was. I'm going to take my new yarn and do the same thing around my old yarn. So loop it under and through, just making a regular knot like that and pulling it down. This one, it doesn't matter. Your tail doesn't matter at all. This is the only one where we're measuring. We're measuring this little distance. Now take your new yarn and your old yarn and pull them so those knots slide together, and give it a really good tug like that. And you can feel that knot. It's like a stone. It is not going anywhere, and we're going to be working over it with our border, so it doesn't totally even matter. Scissors, put your scissors right on top of one of those threads, one of the yarns, and push it down onto the knot and give it a cut. You're going to cut it right at that knot. And then the same thing for your other tail. Slide your scissors right down on top of that knot and give it a cut. So you've wasted a tiny bit of yarn, which you can give to the birds. And pull that again just to make sure. Very, very tight. So now I have my color change done, no tails to weave in, and I am going to do my double crochet to finish off this building block. 1 and 2. And I can pull that up a little bit. So there is my color change. Let me try to do that a bit smaller to get my knot in the right spot. And I'll do it tighter. And there we go. So now there's just one tiny little knot, and it's starting with the top of my double crochet has my new color yarn. We're going to just work our way back along this row with our new color, but we're going to be doing it a little bit different. Instead of doing a chain 6, we're going to do a chain 5. So 1, 2, pinch, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to just do 2 double crochets for our blocks because we want a small kind of little block. And slip stitch to join. Do our little mountains. Chain 3 like we always do, and just 2 double crochets into that chain 3 spot. So we're just skipping a double crochet. We're not doing one of the double crochets, and slip stitching to join that block, chain 3, 2 double crochets. So you're going to work all the way back along your row like this, making smaller blocks. They'll look like this, just a tiny bit different than our regular ones, and I'll meet you when you get to the end. So we've made our last small stair or small little mountain into our last space on that side, and now we're just going to slip stitch down this side here. That's going to go into that double crochet, and I'm making a loose, so I'm pulling up that hook a little bit so that my loop is bigger. I don't want it to be a tight slip stitch, and then a slip stitch into the space. We still want our block to be block-like. Now we're going to do a chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wrap your yarn, and into this very first chain, this one here, we're going to be doing our 2 double crochets. So into the first chain, first double crochet, and our second double crochet. Into the space, so we're jumping over these blocks, we're just going to be working in between them for the border, into those spaces. We are going to slip stitch to join. And chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the first chain, 2 double crochets, 1, 2. Slip stitch into the next space, past that block, chain 4, 2, 3, 4, and 2 double crochets into the first chain, 1, 2. Slip stitch into the next space, chain 4, 2, 3, 4, 2 double crochets into that first chain, slip stitch into the next space to pin that one down, like that. So we're going all the way along this side of our shawl, making small little shells and pinning them down. And we're going to keep going like this all the way to the tip of our shawl. Chain 4, 2 double crochets into the first chain. That's our second one, and pin it down with a slip stitch into the next space. So keep going like that, and I'll meet you when you get to the tip of the shawl. So when we get close to the tip of the shawl, we're still doing what we're doing. So chain 4, and build your small little block of just 2 double crochets into that first chain. And now we're going to pin it down somewhere at the tip of this shawl. So I'm just going to try to find a spot somewhere and slip stitch. And now I'm going to do the same thing, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm right at the tip of that shawl. And because we're at the very end, so this part is going to be hanging down our back, we want to have a special shell here. So we're going to do 3 double crochets into that spot, into the first chain. 1, 2, and 3. So we have that, just a little bit of a bigger shell. So now we're going to slip stitch down this double crochet. So just get into the double crochet somewhere and bring up a loop and pull it up. We want it to be loose. We don't want it to be tight. So a loose slip stitch into that double crochet and another slip stitch into that chain 1 space where we made all of our double crochets. Slip stitch into that one. And now we have a little cute petal at the very bottom of our shawl. We're going to slip stitch into the stitch at the bottom of our shawl, slip stitch, and now we're going to build a block from here. So chain 4 and 2 double crochets into that first chain, 1 and 2, and slip stitch to join. And now you're just going to work all the way up this side of your shawl, doing the exact same thing and I'll meet you when we're going to join. So we've made our last little block. We're going to slip stitch it to join. I'm not going to slip stitch it into that big space. I'm going to go into that first chain with a little slip stitch, just like that, and chain 1 to secure. We're going to have to sew in our tail, so leave enough yarn to use a needle with, and pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And there is our super cute, super easy border for a corner to corner shawl. Looks adorable. You can use the same color as you do for your shawl. You don't have to switch your colors. That's just totally optional. And then sew in your end, of course, and you have the cutest little shawl to wear. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. And thanks so much for watching. Stay hooked.